Thank you for still staying with us. You're still watching the Idea Morning Digest, and today we are looking at the urgent call for Nigerian farmers to cut back on antibiotics in livestock production. We saw in the news earlier that experts like Habib Tajuddin are not only highlighting the dangers of antimicrobial resistance, but also presenting innovative alternatives that could secure our food systems sustainably. So let's discuss the impact of these recommendations and the way forward for farmers, policymakers, and stakeholders. Chinatu, today we are talking about something that concerns our stomach and our health entirely.
Like,
Yes, for those
who are vegetarians, I'm not sure it should bother.
It should bother.
So sometimes I'm a
Okay.
vegetarian, but I'll bother because of people like you.
We have to bother because some of these livestock or animals or whatnot feeds on this plant. So yeah, so everything goes in a circle. So we want to walk through this issue. We want to see how, this the call for Nigerian farmers, to scale back on antibiotics in livestock and the push towards that alternative measures, alternative steps, such as insect protein, enzyme blends, and nano minerals they are preferring as the solutions. So, what stands out immediately is the scale of the risks, Chinatu. Antibiotics used in animals don't stay on the farm. What even draws my attention, I didn't know until now that antibiotics are being used for animals as well. I mean, when we say antibiotics, those antibiotics used for human beings,
some even
those penicillin, tetracycline, and all of those things. Like I heard that not that they are not good for animals that much, but I think the overusage rather, and I heard they put them in their feeds every time to increase or improve animal health and well-being entirely. But then, like I said before, that some of these things leak into the soil, whether we like it or not, because some of the feces from these animals goes back to the soil, and the plants that we grow, these animals chew them. Sometimes like I said, these animal feces are used for them, and when they are used to grow plants, we eat them, we consume them. So all of these things worries me. What happens next? We also eat meat from these animals. We also eat eggs. We also eat so many products from these animals, and they create bacteria communities that no longer responds to drugs, as it is stated in the news, those antimicrobial resistance. According to them, those are bacterias, fungus, that some of this usage of antibiotics stimulates when the animals can no longer depend on these antibiotics due to how much they have been used on them. They cannot. It's just like because sometimes when they say, how do they even say it again? That too much of everything is bad. So this is the case I am seeing here, and it is bad to our health. It is bad to animal health. So it creates a full retrospect of problem if we want to look at it. So I think it's not just a threat for today, it's a threat for our future. And I would say public conversations will only hit up this conversation, hit up this issue, but then what is the long-term goal for this? And I like that the experts that brought this into our awareness is not just saying this is what is happening, it's not just bringing the problem to our fore, he is also proffering the solutions. And I think these are solutions we can work with, creating our own feeds, creating our own what do they call them, manure, and all of these things, because the long over dependence on most of these imported feeds for animals, imported manures and whatnot, it worries me. If we have resources here, if we have the infrastructure, if you have the facilities to put all these things in place, there will be no excuse. So I think that our only excuse here is inaction, and we have to stop with this. We have to see how we can. This is causing a whole lot of health hazards, and we have to put a stop to this.
I totally agree with you. You see, the thing with antibiotics when it comes to animal health and productivity is that it just allows for short-term growth. I mean, people want to have, for instance, if you have a pig house, how is it called now? You know, if you are somebody who rear pigs, you want the pigs to grow really fat. You want your goats to grow really fat. So what do? You inject them with all sorts of things to make them grow very fast, to make them more fertile, and then they start producing. So for some of these livestock farmers, it's about the profit, it's business, it's money. So they'd rather do the fastest way or go the fastest way than allow these things to procreate naturally. I mean, think about it. It's almost like a waste of time having to wait for a particular cycle for your animal to be ready to start bringing forth offspring. So what do? They go to the short means. The shorter means inject with all sorts of things. There was a time I heard that human beings themselves had to, because some people who were very thin, like very thin, I mean, somebody who is lanky or thinner than I look now.
Okay.
What do? They get the same injections that they give to pigs, and they take. It was all over the news sometime like 5 years ago. And so all of a sudden, start seeing the people, they grow fat. But the fat wasn't even. So that was how, because I remember one time I heard two ladies quarrel, and then that one said, you that went to take pig injection. So the only way people claim that they knew was that, oh, it's usually just upwards. You grow fat upwards. Now, that is a human being's reaction to a drug that was given to an animal. Now imagine that we take this in large quantity. I'm talking about when this thing mixed in their waste products, and we use them as manure on our farms. Do you understand? Imagine that, okay, fine. These pigs who have been injected with so much antibiotics, you have them as you have their feces or their waste products used as manures on the farm. And human beings eat those meals. Human beings eat those things, whether you're a vegetarian or not. You eat those things from the animal. What happens? It begins to harm you. It begins to even shorten your lifespan if you're not careful. Because that's what it does to the animals. The truth is, I think it's high time the government already established very strict regulations when it comes to controlling how livestock are kept. Because it's like there's no regulation that looks into what these people do. They may be regulations, but what are the strategies to ensure that these people, these livestock farmers, are really keeping to their end of the bargain? It shouldn't just be about business. You see somebody who says, oh, I sell eggs, and then every day you have eggs to sell from where? From where? That's why people who, you're able to get those natural eggs from hens, it's more expensive. Because, of course, if you're going to go organic, it should be more stressful, it will be time consuming, and you need to be very patient. So, if we want to encourage production, I think the government has a role to play in terms of regulating how that production is, is being made. And a lot of training has to also come into play here. There are people who do these things out of ignorance. For them, it's just business. They just want to make money. Oh, my father has had has always done this business, and so I have to do it as well. So for those kind of people, they don't even know the health concerns. They just know that, Mama Nkechi does it and it works for her, so let me also do. Those kind of people need training and retraining. They need the right information. They need to know the right things to do. And I think it's a whole lot when it comes to awareness. So just like we're speaking here today, we are raising awareness, and we are hoping that we have some livestock farmers who are watching us, and they can now understand that they don't have to get involved in certain things for them to have good production or yield, huge increase. Trust me, even for the human health, antibiotics build resistance over time. If you keep taking antibiotics, even your doctor will tell you cannot. But because animals may not be able to talk to us, they can't react. They react through their health. They react through other means. They react through affecting our own health.
Yes.
And so we have to be very wary of some of these actions that we take. We have to be very careful. You don't want to joke with antimicrobial resistance. It's not funny. It looks easy because we're speaking about it like this on paper, but it is not funny. You would not even know what to do with your life when you start resisting medication, when your system starts resisting a lot of things because it's gotten used to it. And it doesn't just happen. People get used to these things. Animals get used to it. So regulation from my end or from the government's end and training of the livestock farmers. I think that's my 2 cents.
I think the options I highlighted as the way to go is very important, but then the question came to my mind that what if people cannot, because one of the solutions there, aside the high protein feed, replacing some soil with locally produced insect meal, open door to all of these things, open door to circular economy. We've been preaching about for a while now, since when the whole climate change issue arose. And then it lowers emission, especially when it comes to farming systems. Well, then I begin to wonder, because one of the solutions that was proffered is technology. I mean, that's nano minerals, and that's like a high-tech solution. So I'm wondering, can most of our farmers in Nigeria are small-scale farmers. So sometimes I wonder if some of them can afford such solutions. First of all, I'm not even sure they are aware. And when we bring up solutions like this, we should think of how we can reach the main people, those people that are truly into farming. I mean, not just people that can afford it, but those people, those small holder farmers, those people in rural areas that are farming, can they afford these solutions? Do they even know about it? And then it also brings to mind cautionary issues, because we are talking of what's this other one they are talking about? This genetic modified
GMOs,
organisms, and all of those things comes to my mind, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. These are way to go. I mean, we are moving as a society, and we must move. We cannot stay back. But when we're talking of adopting all of these things, are we prioritizing low cost for farmers? We are now prioritizing our health, because talking about this, they are bringing awareness to health issues. But then, are we truly prioritizing our health? Because, some advanced interventions too can also pose risks to our health. So how about, because I saw somebody, I think an environmentalist or a farmer, I don't know, agriculturalist, I've forgotten the person's name, was talking about how we can still use a more natural way of a more natural system of farming, manure, feeds for livestock, manure for plants, and all of those things. How we can still be reliant on nature. I mean, those pollination, he was just talking of a whole lot of things, that those things can still, work. That's if only human beings, we humans, are compliant with nature, because we know what we are doing to nature. So, I mean, there are so many questions in my mind, but then at the end of the day, I want to see how these interventions can come about as proper risk assessments, not just as, solutions that we are proffering, rather. I also applaud researchers like Habib, who is bringing this to our knowledge. I mean, he's not just bringing this to our knowledge, and I said it before, and I'll repeat it again. He's bringing it on I like factual basis. I like things on evidence base. You don't just bring things and then, you just train. But at the end of the day, I want to see how, okay, we can take such things, train the next generation, train people now, and see how they can work towards this. Because we cannot just, all of these problems at the end of the day is going to get solved if we train people, if we partner, if we, put out publication, put out awareness, and train people. I go back to it, train people that are really into farming. Most of those are our small-scale farmers. Let them understand that this is what is going on. This is what this causes. Because I'm not even sure some of them are even aware that these things are being infused or in the feeds for their livestock. I'm not really sure that some of them even understand it. Even if some of them know that such things are being infused, and you are being told by sellers of these things that, okay, it's good for your feeds, it's good for you, and you're seeing your, your livestock
Growing.
getting bigger, growing, and healthier, I mean, you will be happy, and you will be happy that you want to make more sales. So, and also we the consumers, we are happy because we want to get food quick, and not just that, we want to get the biggest share. Aside that, we want to, we want things at lower cost, because most times when when all of these things grows fast or are yielded fastly than they should have been, we they tend to sell them at lower costs to us. But it's a two-way thing. The most if they wait for those long times for their livestock to grow, you hear we have to wait for this time, we have to feed for this time, we have to spend a whole lot of money, so it will go back to cost, and it affects. That's when you begin to hear of inflation, when it comes to food and what's not. So I think it goes both ways. Let's see how we can, teach these people, let them understand the right way of doing things, but efficient way of doing things, because at the end of the day, we don't want to remain in the at the back of the rat race. Yes.
Okay, I think what I would like to even point out again is that we need increased funding for agriculture, especially in terms of research and development. Oftentimes we realize that products are not leaving the lab to the market. It is not the lack of ideas that's the problem. But sometimes there's no funding, there's no enabling environment to support those ideas, to hit mainstream markets. That's why we have many researchers who are still struggling. They found a solution to a problem, but where is the funding? Where is the support to have these things out there? And so this is a call, whether it's private, whether it's government, but by all means, we need that funding, we need that support to have our research hit the mainstream market. I'm very sure that Africans have all it takes. I always say this, we have all it takes to fix our problems by ourselves. All we need is the support. And if we get that, then, our research and development journey can scale up, by whatever means. When you see some things and you see some people talk about ideas, things they've been able to come up with, and you're wondering, why is this beautiful idea just stored here in the shelf? Why is it still in the lab? Why are we not seeing it in the markets? And you hear them talk about, there's no support, there's no funding, and you know that if you're not very careful with your idea, it can be stolen, especially when you don't have patents for it. So we want to see how research and development solutions are not just talks, are not just on paper, but they are hitting the markets. They are meeting the people who need information the most. I'm sure that if we do all of this, we can, take the conversation around our livestock to the next level. Another thing that we want to see is the adoption of sustainable practices. Cynthia has rightly pointed out how we can rely on natural resources to have this done. But if we begin to contaminate all our lands with too much fertilizers, with too many things that are not necessary, we are risking the health of that soil. And with time, we cannot talk about sustainable farming. We cannot talk about sustainable agriculture, because there's a whole lot of things that comes in with the sustainability. When you're able to sustain something, it's almost like you're able to keep it in its natural form. Or if you're going to modify it, you're going to modify it in a manner that nothing is broken, nothing spoils, it still continues in that, in that light. So we do not want to see poor usage or overusage or underusage. We just want to see the right things done, the right knowledge accessed. Farmers in rural communities who do not have this knowledge, we can have, if we need to organize town hall meetings, if we need to organize training, if we need to organize training of trainers, whatever means we need to get to the people who do these things. Because Cynthia rightly pointed that most of the people who are even into this livestock farming, they are small scale, they're smallholder farmers. It's not like they have big farms where they keep their livestock. No, it could just be 5 goats behind. And, all of this thing, because these are the people that cater to the needs of their community. True. We are not talking of the very big farm. No, we are talking of the people who are in the rural communities, the ones that you can easily access, the ones who have just 5, how do they call it now? But the ones who just have eggs, maybe they have 12 dozens of eggs, and then they have that small chicken house where they raise their chickens and that's it. But we want these people more than anything to be equipped with the right knowledge and access to information. We don't want them to do trial and error, something that their neighbor tells them and that's what they're practicing. They should be hearing it from the expert. They should be hearing it from those who have gone the way, those who know better. Because what we don't want to do is risk the health of people.
Exactly.
I'm sure that at the end of the day, the whole conversation is about public health, it's about
Sure.
public safety,
Exactly.
it's about how we can have a sustainable agriculture. We want agriculture to become a major fragment of this nation's economy. But we cannot do that if we begin to, kill what is left of it. How do we kill it? Abuse of antibiotics.
Yes, yes.
Abuse of it. There are people who do not even know that they can contact their vet when their goats are not feeling
True.
okay. No, they just think that they'll figure it out. So they buy whatever drugs, mix whatever concoction, and give to the goats.
Sometimes they're even resistant because a student veterinarian was sharing with me that when they go out for their field works to abattoirs, most of these, what are the meat sellers are most times resistant. When they point out an issue, they notice an issue with their maybe cows, goats, livestock, and whatnot, they become angry.
Defensive.
Yes, they become defensive. They become angry, and sometimes they even threaten to, hurt them. So sometimes when they notice problems in these livestock, they just tend to keep quiet. Most of these livestock are sick. Most of them are. These people become very angry because they
that's
feel
you
like
messing their
they are
market up.
thank you. They feel like they are not going to sell. You don't want them to make sales, and they start challenging them. Sometimes they even drive them out of there. So I think education is needed. That's where awareness and education campaigns are very necessary. I think they are very necessary. And far too often we've presented talking. Most of the time is about talking, is about solutions, like I said before. But these things are good, but knowledge alone, now, like I always say, won't change a situation at all. It won't change the behaviors of the farmers. And this is not me saying farmers are villains. They are not, because like I mentioned before, most of them may not even know, and some of them just want to earn a living, and just make sales and whatnot. And some of them cannot even afford or access. Let me even not talk about affording it. Some of them cannot even access alternative forms of, or measures or systems of farming. So I really feel that we must pair training with, demonstration farming. There's what back then in secondary school, there was what they taught us about demonstration farming. You must show these people the practical ways of doing these things and even teach them how to do some of them themselves. Some of these things are not even that hard or grandiose. So, and also provides microcredits for them, because that was the issues. I was in a town hall meeting with SWAFONDA, small-scale women farmers in Nigeria, and there are so many complaints about accessing credit facilities. They cannot access it. So even if they are aware that this is the alternative I can go for, they do not have the means of affording it. Just like you rightfully mentioned, funding, very, very important. They do not have the means. How will they do it? They can't even access. Some of them cannot even, they do not even know the right place to go. And some they even know the right place to go. They have to go through rigorous processes, and which they can't. I mean, at some point you just get tired because market is moving, and then you are there trying to access the credit facility. So you just want to go for the fastest alternative and the cheaper alternative. So I think they need to do well with training. They need to do well with investments, and like you said, research and development, very, very important. Very
Okay,
important.
I'd like to take that as your closing. Right. So it's very important that we understand that the impact of antibiotics in livestock production, it goes far beyond farms. It touches on human health, environmental sustainability, and food security. What is the way forward? We need innovation, we need strong policy and collaboration across different sectors by embracing sustainable feed alternatives and science-driven solutions. We can be certain the Nigerian farmers can lead Africa toward a healthier, more resilient agricultural future? Do you believe that? Well, if you do, I like to get your comments, get your thoughts across the different social media platforms at Idea Television Limited at gmail.com, via email, or just DM or send a comment, whatever it is that you're comfortable with. My name is Chinatu Oji, and it's been a pleasure to lead this conversation today alongside
Cynthia
Cynthia
Bassi.
Bassi. Okay, until we come your way next time, do well to stay safe. Remember, Midday News comes up by 12 o'clock. Don't miss it.